When you're buying a home, there are so many steps, but that appraisal, it can feel like a total black box. You're just waiting and wondering. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and give you a really clear step-by-step look at the entire timeline. Okay, let's just get right to it. This is the big question on everyone's mind, isn't it? You found the perfect house, your offer's been accepted, and now that clock is ticking toward closing day. So how much time do you really need to set aside for this crucial piece of the puzzle? So, the straight up answer? You should plan on about 1 to 2 weeks for the whole thing to play out. And that's from the moment your lender officially orders the appraisal to when that final report lands in their hands. But keep in mind, that's a typical timeline. A few things can stretch it out, and we're definitely going to get into those.
So, where does this all begin? Well, the timeline officially kicks off the second your mortgage lender places the order, either directly with an appraiser or through what's called an appraisal management company. That right there is the starting gun.
This whole appraisal journey really breaks down into 4 key stages. It all starts with the lender placing that order. Then you get a call to schedule the visit. After that comes the actual on-site inspection of the property, and it all wraps up when the final report is delivered. Let's take a look at the timing for each of these steps.
The first sign of progress usually happens pretty fast. Within about 48 hours of your lender placing the order, you or the seller's agent can expect a call from the appraiser. They'll be calling to get that on-site visit on the books. This is your first real milestone. All right, let's talk about the part of the process you actually get to see, the on-site visit. This is when the appraiser physically shows up at the property to do their inspection. Now, it's important to set your expectations for how long this actually takes. For a pretty standard home, the appraiser might only be there for about 30 to 60 minutes. They're taking measurements, snapping photos, and making notes. But if the property is bigger, more complex, or maybe a unique custom build, they could need up to 2 hours to gather all the data they need. So once the appraiser leaves the property, you might think, great, it's almost done. But their work is actually far from over. In fact, the most time-consuming part is just beginning. They'll spend the next 2 to 7 days doing all the behind-the-scenes work, researching comparable home sales, analyzing all that market data, and then writing up the super comprehensive report. Now, what if your timeline doesn't run like a perfect Swiss watch? It's really important to know that some delays are common and totally normal. The key is not to panic if things take a little longer than you expected. A few key things can really affect the timing. Think about it. A unique property, or one way out in a rural area, might require a ton of extra research to find comparable sales. The time of year also matters a lot. During the peak spring buying season, appraisers get swamped, and that creates a backlog. Even just local market logistics can stretch a turnaround from a few days to a couple of weeks. And this is a really important heads up. If you're trying to buy during a hot market, that standard 1 to 2 week timeline can easily stretch closer to 3 weeks. Building that potential extra time into your closing schedule from the get-go is always a smart move. We are getting so close to the finish line now. After all that research and writing is complete, the appraiser finalizes the report and sends it back to the person who ordered it in the first place, which is your lender.
Okay, here is something really important you need to know about your rights as a borrower. By law, your lender has to give you a copy of that appraisal report as soon as it's done, and they must give it to you, at the absolute latest, 3 business days before your closing. This is to make sure you have enough time to review everything.
So let's put it all together. When you factor in every single step, from the initial scheduling to some of those potential minor delays, you're usually looking at a total timeline of about 6 to 20 days from start to finish. So now that you understand the timeline, you're probably asking, okay, is there anything I can actually do to keep this process moving smoothly? And the answer is a big yes. There are a couple of simple tips that can really help keep things on track. These 2 steps are simple, but they're incredibly effective. First, make sure the appraiser has easy access to all areas of the property. No locked doors or blocked off rooms. And if you're the seller, providing a list of recent upgrades with dates and costs can save the appraiser a ton of follow-up time. Second, as the buyer, you can ask your lender to order the appraisal as early as they possibly can. This builds a nice buffer into your timeline. Good communication just keeps everyone on the same page, which is crucial if your closing date is tight. So there you have it, the entire appraisal timeline, demystified. It's a multi-step process. It has a few variables, but now you know exactly what to expect. And just understanding the moving parts is the first step in navigating them with confidence. So the question is, What will you do to prepare for a smooth closing?